I can't imagine there's not any additional like something there when like these are smart people. These are people that devoted their whole life into law. They have to they would have had to know that wasn't enough.
But
They would have had to know.
Here's I think a couple of problems. I think maybe when they first acted on the raids that they thought there was going to be more meat on the bone. And the raids were flashy. It was all over the news.
Yeah, the baby oils and
then like this public momentum anti-Diddy rolls in.
Right.
And now you're kind of like obligated to prosecute. Because you're going to say, we did all these raids, this, that, and the other thing, and after careful consideration, we've decided that we're not going to pursue any charges. That would be a hard L. That would be, what the hell are you guys doing? So I think at some point they thought there was going to be more out there than there was for whatever reason. They didn't get what they wanted, but they were so sort of 10 toes into it, they couldn't just drop everything, so they had to fashion the best case they could with limited resources. Now, as an attorney, like you can be legally brilliant, but at some point you are confined to what the evidence shows. What I think the big failure of this case is when the raids first occurred, things were running rampant. Like we were envisioning a whole different type of debauchery.
Yes.
We were thinking of like literally like mansion-sized orgies, people being drugged into oblivion,
Rome.
raped on film, and then that maybe held over them or whatever. What this trial delivered is a very specific personal habit or interest of having a girlfriend and inviting a male prostitute to. It's not even a real threesome. Basically, your girl gets pounded while you watch, and maybe you lick some cum off her titties.
Let me tell you something. And we had
licked it off his.
Okay.
And we had a guy in here that told us that.
Yeah.
That he gets paid. And then the men watch him have sex with their wives. That's all that was. We had a guy in here on our podcast that said that's what he does in that lifestyle. People pay him to come out, and the old guys watch him have sex with their wives.
Yeah,
that used to be called a gigolo, right?
back in the age of Richard Gere.
But that's part
American
of my point.
Gigolo.
That's part of my point, though, because I was told that when a RICO case like something like this is brought about, like they're supposed to have like an extraordinary amount of evidence, right, and witnesses, and like they have you already there.
Yeah,
they just have to go through the court proceedings to and that they didn't have any of that.
Yeah,
it was like they were putting shit together
as they went along.
Yeah.
But they knew that they wanted to take him, that they knew that he should be the target, and they want to figure out a way to make something stick. I found that it was, I just think it was overkill.
I can't imagine there's not any additional like something there when like, these are smart people. These are people that devoted their whole life into law. They have to, they would have had to know that wasn't enough.
But
they would have had to know.
Here's, I think, a couple of problems. I think maybe when they first acted on the raids that they thought there was going to be more meat on the bone. And the raids were flashy. It was all over the news.
Yeah, the baby oils and
then like this public momentum anti-Diddy rolls in.
Right.
And now you're kind of like obligated to prosecute. Because you're going to say, we did all these raids, this, that, and the other thing, and after careful consideration, we've decided that we're not going to pursue any charges. That would be a hard L. That would be, what the hell are you guys doing? So I think at some point they thought there was going to be more out there than there was for whatever reason. They didn't get what they wanted, but they were so sort of 10 toes into it, they couldn't just drop everything, so they had to fashion the best case they could with limited resources. Now, as an attorney, like you can be legally brilliant, but at some point you are confined to what the evidence shows.
Yeah.
You can't, it is what it is. If you got a bad witness, they're a bad witness. If you don't have enough evidence to connect certain dots, you can smoke and mirror, but you may not have, at the end of the day, the evidence to connect the dots. And I think that's probably a little bit of what happened.
And I think
that makes
also
sense.
that the salaciousness of the entire the entire case. Also, I think that they thought maybe that was going to be enough to push the jury over the edge too, because I know it was just like every day something juicy and something really obscene or whatever would come out. But I think they underestimated the jury.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sonny is asking, did he get rid of the real tapes before the raid or whatever? And they did collect some tapes. It's possible that there was some other, but here goes the thing about the tapes, whether real or not, or he got rid of some. There were no other witnesses that came about other than Cassie that we already knew about that said they were like beat up or drugged or whatever. And we thought there was going to be like a long line of people that came on stand and said that. Mm-hmm. And the only thing we got was a Kid Cudi, a rapper, who said Diddy broke into his house and locked his dog in the bathroom and opened Christmas presents. And may have, he thinks he blew up his car, but he didn't see it. Nobody has any evidence.
Right.
And that was the only other thing. Now everyone else that went up there, they had recounts of what they seen him do to Cassie or whatever, and bad like a rude behavior. As far as his assistants that work with him and stuff like that.
Kind of being an asshole.
Yeah. That was the rest of the witnesses.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean, as the first couple of days of this unfolded, there was definitely, is this all we got? Like, when are they dropping the other stuff? Because
you said they're supposed to come heavy early.
Yeah, right. you want to get the attention right away. And they really centered it on Cassie. But the problem that you have with both of the female figures in this is like the text message stuff where they're saying, I'm ready for the next one. And at the end of the day, the jury was probably, I mean, the thing is, these jurors heard what we heard at the beginning. Like I'm saying that during the raids, Diddy's been on the scene for 30 years. Like you've always heard whispers, this, that, and the other thing. These juries are not, under a rock. They were aware of a general notion of what was going on. And I think, just like me, they had much higher expectations for what the prosecutors are going to walk in and show them.
Right.
And it let everybody down. Like, you basically had two weird relationships with women, which you were an asshole and possessive and jealous and a general
dick.
Guilty
of domestic violence, too.
But the key was that was not one of the charges.
That wasn't the charges, right.
Right. And there's no way that jury didn't know that she had $20 or $30 million for that. You know, and so in their mind, they can see some victimization in her, but they also say, she's got a lot more money than I do. Somebody hit me in the damn head.
And she stayed in it for like 10 years.
Yeah, you got 30 M's, you stay, because there's a, I follow this girl on Facebook, and like she's going all in, like, oh, I'm deleting everyone who's happy that Diddy is getting free or whatever, and he's this and he's that, and I'm like, well, like you said, aside from the one or two relationships, we didn't see like this serial woman beater. You know what I mean? So like, is either okay, if you take that stand, then you just have to fucking take that stand with every man who has ever
let's start with the
been
president.
aggressive with women.
Let's start with the president of the United States with his 34 felonies.
And that's the thing. You look at this verdict, and he gets 2 of the lighter. That other motherfucker had 34 felony convictions on him. He got the charges, and they convicted of him. And look where that asshole is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And when you look at this, there's so many levels to this. There are people that are happy that that he got off because they were unimpressed by the case and didn't feel that should be like a life sentence by any means. There are people that are just fed up with this country, with its racism, with its hypocrisy, with its nonsense. And to have some asshole in the White House convicted of 34 felonies, I think in the same jurisdiction. And in addition to the being found civilly liable for rape, I mean, he's just a disgusting individual. And then like what comes out in this, it's like okay, big
that's
deal.
another thing. There was no rape in this at all, and it was said to be some.
You sound disappointed.
No, that's a good point.
You just seem like you're really
disappointed. Well, I'm disappointed by the prosecutors. Like I said, you devote your whole life to law, and you bring up this RICO case, and every RICO case, even local RICO cases, like that I've, there was a guy in Orlando or whatever, Armstrong, and like they have so much evidence in every single RICO case that comes about.
Yeah.
And then this is a high-profile case, a high-profile guy, and you just fucking shit it back. It's like, whatever. It's like LeBron James 2011 Finals against the Mavericks. It's disappointing, man.
It is 100%.
It's like I needed more. I wanted more.
Yeah. RICO cases, RICO originated to fight like the mafia.
Yeah.
And to be able to bring federal crimes of racketeering when you could connect multiple crimes over state lines, which is, when you go back in the history of the mafia, they were doing things over state lines in cooperation with other people, and they were being chased by local law enforcement and local prosecutors. And it would be impossible just about to convict these guys regularly because you didn't have the jurisdiction or power to do it.
Right.
So the answer to this issue was to come up with RICO charges and bring them at the federal level so you can tie all the nefarious activities together and convict them, in the federal setting. And historically, the RICO cases are brought very judiciously. They're brought when they have overwhelming evidence. They're brought when like the noose is tied and there's no way out. Mm-hmm. And clearly this kind of broke away from that. And the one thing I'm thinking about that I thought, did you all ever see that thing with college basketball with Christian Dawkins?
No.
Okay, so he was like an AAU guy and a runner, and
the guy from Adidas?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what ended up happening, there was a financial investor guy that the FBI was looking at for some crimes. He was involved in paying like college basketball players and coaches and what have you. And in
he
multiple
was NIL
schools.
Before NIL.
Yeah, he was that.
Yeah.
The FBI got wind of this and they got excited, thinking and like, oh wow, we could connect this to Wade Wallace and Coach K and all these big names, right. and we'll just get everything. And they used Christian Dawkins as like a witness and like a guy to kind of set people up. And there's a documentary, and Dawkins was like laughing because they didn't understand how it worked. They didn't understand where the money went and where it had to go to. They couldn't get it in their heads that like, if you want to get player X, you got to pay his aunt and his father. Mom's out of the picture, whatever. Like that's how that works. Like who moves this needle? Or, this other guy, you just got to take care of the AAU coach. He got the parents and we're good. They could not figure that out. They were just looking at the head coaches figuring that they're like this, like mafia dons and that this right. is, and it was just way looser, way, targeted in a specific relationship-based way, and they couldn't figure it out, and the shit fell apart.
Yeah.
I feel like
it has a lot of ties to
in some ways that might have been the thing. Is that like somehow this got on the radar? Maybe it was the Cassie lawsuit.
Yeah.
And they feel like, oh man, there's something here.
So,
let's set up these raids. Let's go get the information. It's waiting for us. And I really think they came out of those raids with a lot less than they thought they had. That they thought they would. But again, I'm standing on. I think that when they did the raids, they knew they had kind of jumped in the pool and they couldn't get back out, and this is what they had to proceed with.
Yeah, and then you got the people outside the court showering themselves with baby oil.
That was hilarious.
That is wild to me.
He's I mean, like that's a part of his legacy now. The baby oil is a part of his legacy.
For sure.
Like that's
every time
on the
it might be the most enduring part.
Exactly.
That has to make the funeral notes. What did they call it? The pamphlet?
Yeah.
Whatever.
His obituary.
It got to be in there, man. That's a part of his legacy now.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can discuss baby oil without thinking about it. Like, you can't.
Yeah, like comedy, movies, like from here on out, like that's you're gonna get a Diddy reference.
It's like piss and R. Kelly. Like
I think it may be stronger.
I think it's stronger. I think it's way stronger. Just the sheer volume of it.
Yeah,
it's just like thousands of baby oil. Like when you first read that, you're like,
What?
What do you need that much for?
What are you, a Walmart distribution center?
And then the crazy thing is just like, the one thing I'm thinking in my head is, well, yeah, if you got like 100 people fucking, and maybe you need that much baby oil, not fucking 2.5 people. Fucking.
One bottle will do at least 20 people, I think.
Not at Diddy's
one big bottle.
Yeah, one thing about baby oil, you really only need like
you
a
just need
little
a little dab will
like
do
a little
right?
dab for real.
A little dab will do you.
Y'all gotta be glistening, man. You gotta be glistening.
That's what Diddy likes. Yeah, he's like, no, you gotta put on more.
Glistening. More oil. More oil.
I just can't imagine like interrupting the sex act to apply more baby oil.
When I'm watching porn, I don't like that. I have to fast forward that when they like take their time out to like apply oil.
I don't like the ashy porn. Like it's you
so you need the baby oil.
You do need a little.
What time were you finding ashy porn?
I mean, because you see them, they'll stop. Like they're like, oh wait a minute, she's looking ashy.
Right.
Drop some oil on it. So yeah, no,
I don't know, man.
I don't like to watch that. But I think they I don't want to see them applying the oil.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Just do it before
just,
the video starts.
Cut.
Yeah.
Get the fluffer with
you
the
cut
oil.
when the guy, you want to make it seem like this guy can just go all fucking night between 2 and 3. All right, anyway.